Hello, my friends. So I'm sure you've heard by now, but there's a little bit of drama surrounding Rachel and Emily and the whole situation with the receipts, and Rachel offering to pay Emily for some of that. And I was really just going to ignore it because in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. But even though my opinion really doesn't matter in this whole thing, I thought it would be worth just getting my thoughts on record, just in case anybody wondered how I feel about the whole thing. And I was gonna make a post about it, but I think it would be just a little too long for a post, so I thought I'd just get on here and give my thoughts for a second. So, if you'd like to like and subscribe, that would literally be hectic, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not gonna go over all the details or anything, but very briefly, basically, Rachel had already released the first video, and she was still talking to Emily, and while she was working on the voice memo video, Rachel realized that Emily had some more receipts that could be good for another video, a third video, and offered to pay Emily to keep giving receipts or whatever. And then at some point, Rachel realized that Emily was still talking to Amber and sort of using the situation just to get back at Amber. And even though we all pretty much knew that was what was happening, we just had to kind of assume. But Rachel has conversations with Emily where it's very obvious that that's what she's doing. Okay, so that's how she got to that conclusion. And so she changed her mind. She said, I'm not going to pay this person anything. And she had already gotten permission from Emily to use the voice memo and to use everything at that point. And from what I understand, Emily was trying to say that, no, Rachel offered to pay me from the very beginning and then changed her mind. And sort of blackmailed Rachel by saying, you either pay me or take your video down, or I'm going to tell people that. And then Rachel came out and sort of got ahead of it. And we'll get to that in a second. And she came out with this explanation for everything and her thoughts, and basically just says, I acknowledge that I was an idiot. I shouldn't have offered to pay at all. And Rachel says that she has receipts. She has the conversations where Emily told her that she can use the voice memo and basically gave her consent to use everything before she was offered any money. So the crux of the entire drama is that Emily was going to make it seem like Rachel said, I'll pay you for your receipts or whatever, and then profited, and then told Emily, never mind, I'm just going to keep it all. But Rachel claims that she has proof that that's not the case. I don't know if we've seen that yet or if she's going to show that, but at this point, I do think we can still trust Rachel more than we can trust Emily, you know? So that is my understanding of this post and kind of what happened. This is exactly why we have the motto, don't touch the poo. I am disappointed that Rachel offered money and stuff, but I also understand it. If I were in that same situation and I was on the verge of getting all these receipts, all these texts from behind the scenes in the relationship between Emily and Amber, knowing it's going to be a huge video, it's going to make my channel blow up, because of course it is, I don't know that I would be able to say no either. Or I don't know that I wouldn't come up with the same idea to make sure I can keep getting receipts. That doesn't make it right, but I get it. But the main problem is that when you touch the poo, right, when you get involved, there's always going to be these ethical questions about who's profiting off of whose story. So you're just going to end up setting yourself up for something just like this. I mean, if it's not specifically blackmail, it'll be something. And I've heard a few people mention that Jordy and the Ankle actually offered publicly to pay for the Amber Tantrum video, and they'll probably say they were just joking, but I think if Emily offered, I think they would take that offer. And even today, Alex's Shook said he would pay to talk to Wifey, and I can't say that I disagree. If I was in contact with Jade, I would seriously think about offering payment to get her story. You know, it would be very easy for me to sit here in my tower and say I would never do something like that, but I just don't know. So while I don't think it's a great idea to touch the poo and get involved, I also understand that if Rachel had not, we would not have ended up with these videos and these texts and all of this evidence of Amber being Amber. It's kind of a catch-22, you know? I think she put herself in this position, but we all profited from it. Whether you're a reaction channel or a gorlworld connoisseur and you just enjoy the drama and seeing Amber crash out, we were all eating good because of what Rachel did. So, yeah, it probably wasn't a great idea, and it's a bad look for the most part. But if you're going to get into the enclosure with the exhibit, you're going to have to expect something like this. And then the second thing I want to talk about when it comes to Rachel is the biggest debate that seems to be happening right now is surrounding why Rachel made the post to begin with. Like up here it says, I am exposing my own fuck up below for transparency. And I've seen some people say that it was upfront and honest. And I mean, was it for transparency? And was it upfront and honest? One side of the debate says the only reason Rachel did this is because she thought that Emily was going to expose it, so she's getting out ahead of it. And then the other side is saying she's telling the truth, this is accountability, etc. And in my opinion, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Yes, she is doing damage control. That's all this is. She's getting out ahead of it and telling you what happened so that Emily can't write the narrative. And I don't think she would have said anything if she wasn't afraid that Emily was going to expose the situation. But also, so what? That's still telling the truth, right? Rachel had a couple of options. She could lie about it, or, if Emily said something, she could try to discredit Emily or something like that. But the choice she made was to get out ahead of it and tell everybody exactly what happened. So while I do think that this is just damage control, and I don't think she's trying to be altruistic by telling this story, or that she is doing it just for transparency or just to be upfront and honest, I think it was the best option that she had, and she chose that best option. But as far as Emily goes, I had so little sympathy for her to begin with, and it was really only because she had been a victim of Amber. And I said in every video I made about her that I am pointing out what happened to her and what Amber did to her, but I still think she's a shitty person. Two things can be true, as they say, as someone says. But now, I think she and Amber just deserve each other. I think she is just such a shitbag and a manipulator. And I have always had this feeling that she was just as much of a manipulator as Amber, but she is more sneaky about it. Whereas Amber is the scream in your face or bug you until you do what she wants or grab you and throw you down type of manipulator. Emily's a little more subtle. I don't know that I would go as far as to say that Emily is someone that would feed a person until they expire. But the fact that I can't rule that out completely shows she's not a great person. I'm done having any sympathy for her at all. It was already microscopic to begin with, but I have none left except for my sympathy for her daughter. The person in her life that didn't ask for any of this. And I don't know whether she has custody, but I know she's paying child support. She's probably on the verge of losing her job because of all of this. The situation that she put herself in time and time and time again, knowing exactly what was going to happen. So yeah, that's really all I had to say about it. I just think it's a shitty situation, and this is a great example of why we don't touch the poo. You can get involved and come out on the other side with no issues, but you also can end up with something like this where it's just a headache, right? And as much as Rachel gained out of all this, which is a lot, right? She got a ton of subscribers. She probably made a lot of money on those videos. It was a pretty big boon to her channel, but she also lost a lot of credibility with a lot of viewers. She's gonna have to work to earn a lot of people's trust back and stuff. So it's not all bad, but it's just not great either. like I said at the beginning, all of this is really not that big of a deal compared to a lot of other things that happen in Girl World. And just in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of a nothing burger, but I think it's worth talking about. So anyway, I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.